do a quick video to talk about how I found out that I'm pregnant. Alright, I'm just gonna jump right into it. So, I had an appointment scheduled because I was having a lot of pain during my periods, and my periods never came at the same time. So I went to, the Navy sent me to NTC Point Loma, and the doctor there said that I might have endometriosis. And in order to see if you have endometriosis, they do an ultrasound. They'll also do some kind of surgery where they'll look into your belly button with a scope maybe or something, I don't know. If you don't know what endometriosis is, it's kind of like scar tissue on the outside of your uterus. It's a kind of complicating, I don't know, Google it, but it's very painful. So I'm there at my appointment. I don't know if you guys have ever had ultrasounds, but if you haven't, even as far as getting an echo, getting an ultrasound, getting any kind of imaging done, you usually never see the doctor or the radiologist. You always see just the nurse or the person that takes the images, and then the images get sent to the big guys who review it. And you don't often see the big guy. So now that I've got that out of the way, I show up to Navy Medical in in Balboa, because I don't think Point Loma has an ultrasound center. So I'm there. You have to drink a whole 32 ounces of water, which is no big deal for me because I always do, so that they can see your uterus easier. I guess the water helps for the ultrasound to, however an ultrasound works, whatever. So there I am with she's a first class corpsman. She's pregnant for the first time. She's 30, almost 35, and we're both talking about how we'd like to start a family, and she's just taking images as we're talking, right? She's taking, she asked me when was the date of my last menstrual period. So I told her, and she was kind of weird about it, and she kept asking me questions about when the date was, and I was like, well, my periods are never on time ever. They come every 15 days, every 20 days, every 28 days. They come in 17 days. It's just really a strange, they never show up, and that's kind of why I'm here, is to see if everything is okay. And so she's like, oh, okay, and acts like nothing, right? But she's been ultrasound imaging for years. She's a first class, and that's basically what she's done her entire naval career. She's a corpsman, but she's when you become a corpsman in the Navy, like a doctor, you go into different categories. You could be a dental hygienist, you could work in radiology, you could work, they split you up into separate things or whatever. I'm sure you could bounce from one to another, but I'm not a corpsman, so I don't know. So she's chatting with me, and she's like, so you want to start a family? And I was like, yeah. Probably not until I get out of the Navy, though. And she goes, yeah, that's understandable. And she's chatting with me the whole time, right? And then she's like, well, I've got the images here. Let me go take them to the radiologist, let him view the images and make sure that I've got everything he needs, and then I'll come back. So you just stick around, stay right here. Don't get dressed in case I have more images to take, and I'll be right back. So I was like, okay. So I'm there waiting in a very dark room, and it takes a long time, longer than I think it should take. And then I hear her voice come in the room. She knocks, and she said, hi, can we come in? You know, because you're not fully dressed, you're in a hospital gown, so they knock to be courteous, you know, are we okay to come in? And I'm like, yeah. And I hear a man's voice, and he comes into the room with her, and she stands off to the side, and he comes up to the bed, and so I'm looking at him like, hi. He's like, hi, I'm Dr. So-and-so, the radiologist. And I was like, this is really weird, because you never see the radiologist during your appointment. So I'm worried, and he's like, so what brings you in? And this whole time I'm thinking to myself, if I was pregnant, this lady would have been able to tell, because she's been taking ultrasound images for a very long time. So in my brain, I'm like convinced that I'm not pregnant because she would have said something, right? So in my brain, I'm like, crap, I have endometriosis. They found cancer. You know, I'm freaking out inside because I don't know what's wrong and why he's in here. So I tell him why I think I'm in there. you know. I was like, well, they think that I have endometriosis, so told him about my periods and all this. And then he was like, well, everything looks good. I don't see any signs of endometriosis, but you're about 4.5, 5 weeks pregnant. And he kept talking after that, but I honestly have no idea what he said, because I started crying immediately, and I'm gonna start crying again. And I'm just like, wait, what? Did you say that? So he kind of smiled again, and he was like, congratulations. And in my brain, I'm just like, what did they just say to me? And I'm completely speechless. So he leaves, and I look at her, and I was like, could you tell that I'm pregnant? And she goes, yes, but I'm not a doctor, so I'm not allowed to say anything, because if I mislead you, you know, I'm liable to be in trouble. So I had to make sure the doctor views the images. And I was like, so this whole time that I was sitting here talking to you about how I wanted to start a family, you saw that I was pregnant? She goes, yeah, do you want to see? So she turns the ultrasound images toward me, and she goes, it's just a yolk sac, there's no embryo yet. And to me at the time, I had no idea what that meant. I was like, what's a yolk sac? And later on, I got home and I Googled everything I possibly could. So it starts out as a yolk. No, it starts out, the process is amazing. My husband and I watched this thing on YouTube, a National Geographic documentary called In the Womb, and it takes you through the entire process of how life forms, and it's amazing. So anyway, as I'm Googling at home, I learned that there's not even a fetal pole. It's just a yolk sac, and I'm a little worried, but then again, I'm only 4 weeks. You don't typically get an ultrasound that early on, but because I wasn't there for that, I happened to be able to see the life inside of me at about 4 weeks and 4 days, or 4 weeks and 5 days, maybe 5 weeks. I don't remember what they said it was, but it was just, so okay, so before this whole appointment, and I forgot to mention that when I woke up to get ready for this appointment, my husband wanted to come, but I was like, no, it's okay. I'm literally just going to get images, and then I'm coming home. Like, they're not going to have results or anything for a couple weeks. It's not a big deal. So I just drove myself, but he was this close to coming until I was just like, no, it's okay. It's not even that serious. So I wonder what would have happened if he was there, how it all would have gone down. But anyway, on to the story. I told my husband, I was like, I'm going to have this appointment, because we both had the day off. I'm going to have this appointment, but when I get back, I want to go to the grocery store immediately, because we don't have any food, and I want to just get things done. So can you be ready to go and everything when I get back from the appointment? My appointment was like at 8 in the morning or something. So he's like, yeah, no big deal. I'll have everything ready, and we can just go right when you come back. So that's before I left the appointment. So here I am at the appointment, and I learn this news, and I'm crying, and so the lady tells me, she goes, we can obviously see that you're pregnant, but in order to get me in the system, I need to go take a urine test or whatever. So I'm at Balboa, the Naval Hospital. So I eventually leave the ultrasound area, go down to the OBGYN, take a pee test, and it comes up positive, obviously. So I cry all over again, and he hands me a big stack of papers, and he's like, congratulations, your appointment will be, I don't remember how far out it was. Maybe they wanted to see me when I was about 8 weeks. So 3 weeks after that or so, they scheduled an appointment that I'd come back and make sure everything was going as planned. So here I am with this huge stack of papers. Congratulations, you're pregnant. Here's what you'll need at your next appointment. Here's some foods you should stay away from. Just a huge stack of information. I'm walking to my car, and I'm crying. And I want to tell my husband as soon as possible, but I'm not going to tell him over the phone. So I get in my car, and I send him a text. I'm like, I'm on my way home, and I'm freaking out, just over the moon, and completely in shock still. And I drove home, and so this is where it gets a little funny, because you always dream that you're gonna have this, you see all the positive pregnancy test reveals to the husband, and how I told so-and-so I was pregnant, you know, and they have these elaborate plans, and it comes out so nice, and you watch the video and you're like, that's so sweet, right? Because people have t-shirts or whatever, however they do it, right? So I'm trying to think of how I'm gonna tell him that it's gonna be amazing. So I'm driving home, And in our apartment complex, you guys have seen it if you watched my vlogs, there's 4 sets of staircases from different apartments that come down into this little foyer. So I park my car and I'm coming into the foyer, and then I see my husband in the foyer with the grocery bags. We use recyclable cloth insulated grocery bags. So he's outside and he's like, oh good, you're here, let's just leave right now. And in my brain I'm like, I can't keep this from him, for one, because then I feel like he'd be upset that I had this news all along and I never told him. 2, I don't want to tell him sitting in a car. 3, I don't want to tell him at a grocery store. So I'm like, how can I get him upstairs? Where do I tell him? What do I say? So I'm looking at him in the foyer of the apartment complex, and I'm like, oh, I gotta go to the bathroom. I gotta run up to the apartment real quick and go pee. And he was like, okay, go pee, I'll be in the car. And I was like, well, I might be hungry, I might want a little something to eat. And he's like, you just said there's no food, we're going to go get groceries. And I was just like, well, I don't know. And I just kind of was stuttering because I didn't know what to say or how to say it. But I got him upstairs into the apartment, and so I didn't go pee because I didn't have to go pee. And then I was just standing there, and then he was like, what are you doing? I thought you had to pee. And I was like, I think I'm gonna get something to eat. And he was like, you know what? He's getting frustrated because here I had this plan. He has no idea what's going on with me. He's getting frustrated because he's like, I have the car ready to go. Like, you wanted food, and here you are, I'm just being really weird, right? So I'm trying to think of how I can make this perfect. And I'm just awkwardly standing right in the middle of the living room, and then he sits down on the couch and he's like, you know what? Just tell me when you're ready to go and I'll be ready to go. I'll be right here, ready whenever you're ready. And I could tell he was just kind of at his wit's end with me. And so at that point I didn't know, because I could tell I annoyed him, and I don't want him to be annoyed at this point. I want him to be very happy because I'm elated. Like, inside I'm just freaking out, and here he is upset now because I'm being weird about coming and going, and I was being really strange. So he sat down like, I don't know what's going on with you, tell me when you're ready to go, whatever. And he sat down. So then it was this couch right here actually. He sat down right here. So I sat down next to him and just blurted out, and he's like, I don't know what's going on with you, man, just let me know. And that's all he said. And then I looked at him and I was like, I'm trying to tell you that I'm pregnant. And he was like, his whole face changed and his eyes got a little watery, and I was just like, oh my gosh. And the whole mood changed in the room. And he was like, I knew it. And he started jumping around. He's like, I knew it. And so I'm just laughing and crying all at the same time. And he stands up over there and he starts dancing around, and he's doing a little dance. He's like, I knew it. So he was so excited. And when I asked him, we talked about it later, and we joked because the way that I told him, I kind of yelled it at him because I didn't know what to do. I didn't know how to tell him. And I wanted it to be like this wonderful surprise, you know? So he said that when I told him, he's like, the whole world just stopped. He's like, anything that I was thinking about us moving, getting out of the military, about how we need to go get groceries, about everything just completely stopped. And that's like all we could think about. Wow, Andrea, jeez. This is the hormones. I can't even say that because I cry a lot anyway. I'm just an emotional person. Anyhow, so they say not to wait, because at the time I was only like 4 weeks or whatever, 4 weeks and a half, or I don't remember now, but because it's hard to tell when you're just a yolk sac or whatever. So they say not to tell anyone until you're so many weeks because you could miscarry and all that, but I was like, whatever. The way that the Navy told me about it was kind of like, wait until to see if it sticks, and I'm just like, what does that even mean? But I called my mom immediately, he called his mom immediately, put him on speaker. I remember FaceTiming my mom, and then I looked at my husband, I was like, you tell her. So he said it, and then my mom was in the living room, my brother was over at the house at the time, and they were watching TV. I was FaceTiming. My mom was like we don't FaceTime often anyway. And my husband said that there's about to be 3 of us. And my mom was like, "What? Joe, turn down the TV. What did you say?" So her reaction it was so fun. So we told our family immediately, and I told my friends immediately, and here I am, several weeks later, super excited. And that's how I found out that I'm pregnant. And that's how I ended up telling my husband. So I don't think that it really matters. I mean, it would be fun to have like a little gift box with a pea stick, but I didn't exactly find out in the most traditional way. You know, I had an ultrasound at 4.5 weeks to see a yolk sac, so that's how I found out, and it was a lot of fun. So maybe next time I'll do a surprise reveal. God willing, I get pregnant again after this one. I'm just ready to start a family. So this was 15 minutes long, and I didn't intend for it to be but a quick video, so I'm gonna let you guys go and stay tuned, because I'm gonna be working on more LMTTs, probably a lot of cookies that I love. I already did the snickerdoodles, but there's a peanut butter scotchy one that I want to do. I have to look at my videos to make sure I didn't do that one already. But I've got some videos coming because we're moving in about a week, and I want to get rid of all of the flour and sugar and food in the house, so I want to bake a lot and take it to work so people can eat it, because I just don't want it to go to waste. Because you can donate canned goods, but you can't donate an open bag of flour, you know? And I don't want to carry that in a move. So I'll be doing some baking and some LMTTs, and of course vlogging during the week, so expect that. Okay? I'll talk to you guys later. Bye! I did want to say one more thing. I wanted to thank you guys for all of your congratulations on the last video that I announced that I was pregnant. I was so nervous about mentioning anything because I was afraid. I don't know why I was afraid. That's what anxiety kind of does. And people had mentioned my anxiety was probably worse because I am pregnant, because my hormones are so out of control, and I can totally sense that, and that's why I'm kind of just a little harebrained right now. So despite I was being weary, and despite my hesitation, you guys still are super positive, and I did want to mention that I will share things about pregnancy, but I don't know that I'd make it a series, because I don't know, I'll just have to go with the flow. I just don't want anybody to expect anything, or, you know, and so many of you have supported me in saying that you appreciate anything that I will put out about it. So I'm not gonna say I'm gonna put out a whole lot, but I'm not gonna say I won't put out anything either. I'm just gonna go with the flow, whatever I feel comfortable with, and I wanted to thank you for your support. And my husband was reading the comments, and he was like, wow, these people are really nice people. They really like you. And I was like, I guess they do. So it made me feel really good that reading the comments that it's nothing but positivity, and I'm so blessed for that. So I just wanted to say thank you. Okay? Bye!